Hi, Janai Lane, founder of Spirit Coach Training. I want to talk to you a little bit about unity consciousness or heart awakening. And sometimes you might find yourself crying all the time, just teary, dewy eyed. And this can happen when we move into unity consciousness because we are moving into the space of the sacred heart or high spiritual heart, where the walls that were once there completely dissolve and there is no separation between you and anything else. Now, this is different than being an empath, which I had been most of my early life. And when I went into unity consciousness, something completely shifted, which was a different quality. I found that, like many of us, when I was young, I was so sensitive, and especially being an empath, I could feel everything. I could feel the pain of my parents. I could feel and sense thoughts without words being spoken. I could pick up energy, all kinds of things that would be in my body. Now, unity is different because there is not a separate self anymore that is experiencing the world. And I know that sounds crazy to the mind, of course. However, let me tell you a little bit about when I first went into unity consciousness. I this was probably about a decade ago, and I was at a retreat, silent retreat, and it was towards the end of the week where basically the sense of the separate self completely dissolved, and there was just experience happening all at once. And there was a way that I was one with, you could say, the room and everyone in the room and the trees outside and the sky and the earth and this oneness that I would call a unity consciousness emerged, and it never left. It was at first it was so extreme because it was the contrast of what I was used to living in. However, over the last decade, it's really integrated, but it's always there. It's always there. I can always call upon it and settle into it. Now, one of the things that I want to mention is that when I dropped into it, I would say for the first several years, I cried all the time, not from sadness per se or joy per se, but for everything that was arising through me that was just so exquisitely beautiful. And there was also a tenderness that cultivated in me a deeper, deeper level of compassion that I had. I would see something very normal, like a child riding a bike, and I would just, tears would stream out of my eyes, or, a bird flying by. And there would just be this connection, this non-separation between those two things because they were one. And it moved me so I walked around, with tissues constantly. Now I'm still very tender. I still feel that tenderness. My eyes will well up a lot, in a beautiful way. I think I've integrated it more and it's a little different now. But I haven't lost that knowing that we're all one, and in an experiential way. I don't mean in an intellectual way. And so it creates this kind of this big, vast heart. And that heart is so beautiful. It can hold the pain of the world. And certainly my students and clients feel that when I'm working with them. And there's a kind of safety there. It's this sense of my heart and God's heart, the divine heart, are one heart. And so you can be so resourced in that, and you can pull through whatever's needed qualitatively, whether it be compassion, right? Or clarity, or equanimity, or joy. And that can be resourced and transmitted into the field. And of course, this is happening very naturally without thought about it, without any thought. There's no will involved in it because there's no ego anymore involved in it. And so there is this natural evolution. And the reason I'm speaking to this is I get a lot of questions from students as they're going through awakening stages. Sometimes one of the things that happens is this crying, tearing, constantly this tenderness. And we're taught in our society and the way we're brought up often that there's something wrong if that's happening. And that's not necessarily the case at all in my personal experience. So I wanted to put this out there as a way for you to kind of tune in. Now, wherever you are on your path, wherever you are, we all have the capacity to connect our heart with the divine heart. And just by, simply touching our high heart, imagining our nose is located here, and just breathing, just taking some time to breathe deeply into this area, we begin to activate that beautiful diamond within, right? Breathing in, I am love, and breathing out, I am peace. Breathing in, I am love, and breathing out, I am peace. And just allowing this sacred heart to blossom in you, in all of us. This is what the world needs now. We need this. Thank you so much for listening, and namaste, dear ones.